Thank you. Please remain seated. That's not necessary. Thank you very much. Please, Mr. President. Don't stand. That wouldn't be right. Good evening. Thank you, Mr. President, Mrs. Obama, distinguished members of the press, and Bon Jovi. Yes, it's an honor to share this stage with the President. When you think about it, the President and I are a lot alike. We both went to Harvard, we both have 2 children, and we both told Joe Biden we didn't have extra tickets for tonight's event. We also have something else in common. Like the President, I too recently got in some hot water by talking about a public official's good looks. It was the time I wouldn't shut up about that stone-cold fox, Secretary of Transportation, Ray LaHood. Oh, man. I like the cut of his jib. But President Obama, you had some great jokes. It was a pleasure watching you stand up here and do what I do. So now it's only fair that I get to do what you do. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. For the next 15 minutes, I'll be mired in a tense, dysfunctional standoff with Congress. This is going to be fun. Now, right away, I'd like to formally congratulate the President on his re-election. Congratulations. As you all know, the President is hard at work creating jobs. Since he was first elected, the number of popes has doubled. And the number of Tonight Show hosts has tripled. Congratulations. And while I'm at it, I'd like to congratulate President George W. Bush on this week's dedication of his presidential library. Yes, the library has millions of books, articles, and documents, and if you go, you can be the first to read them. You can't hurt me. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's get going. Right here at the start, I'm going to share something with you people, and this doesn't leave this room. I say this with absolute confidence because we're on C-SPAN. Who doesn't love C-SPAN? Seriously, C-SPAN. It's an entire channel shot with the backup camera on a Ford Explorer. Congratulations to C-SPAN for winning the bid to broadcast this event. They narrowly beat out HGTV2, QVC South America, and the Hilton Hotel How to Check Out channel. That's right, the Hilton. It's great to be here at the Hilton. Is it just me, or is it time to stop using Priceline to book this event? No, I love the Hilton. I really love the Hilton's motto, sorry, the Radisson was booked. You know, I was worried that because of the sequester, we would be forced to hold this event at a less prestigious hotel than the DC Hilton. Then I was told that's not possible. But I do want to thank the Hilton for accommodating us. They were kind enough to reschedule a Cash for Gold seminar. By the way, for those of you here for the Cash for Gold seminar, that's been moved to Salon B on the mezzanine. And if Joe Biden asks, there are no extra tickets for that either. Quick announcements before we really get going, before we continue. If any of you are live tweeting this event, please use the hashtag incapable of living in the moment. Yeah. Yes. 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 Also, to any U.S. senators here tonight, if you'd like to switch either your dessert or your position on gay marriage, please signal a waiter. By the way, speaking of dinner, tonight's entrees were halibut and filet mignon, or as CNN's John King reported it, lasagna and couscous. There's a gavel here, and I don't know why. Here's a fun fact about tonight's food. Everything you ate this evening was personally shot by Wayne LaPierre. Don't worry, it was during a home invasion, though. The fish came in through the window. That wasn't peppercorn, that was buckshot, ladies and gentlemen. Incidentally, you may not know this, but Wayne LaPierre is merely the executive vice president of the NRA. Which begs the question, how freaking crazy do you have to be the actual president of the NRA? He's not even at the top. Also, I'd like to acknowledge that earlier this evening, there was some confusion with the seating chart. For a moment, someone accidentally sat Governor Chris Christie with the Republicans. That was awkward, and I apologize. Very awkward. But speaking of tables, before dinner, I had a chance to mingle. You probably saw me. I worked the crowd. I shook some hands and sold my Twitter account to Al Jazeera for $500 million. They'll buy anything. But it is an absolute joy to be here at the White House Correspondence Dinner. Last year, Tom Brokaw criticized this event for having too many superstars and A-list celebrities. When I told Tom I would be attending this year, he said, "That's more like it." That shouldn't be funny to you. But this is really a star-studded event. This year, you've taken it to new heights. I have to congratulate you, new heights, because you've got some of the guys from Duck Dynasty here. Duck Dynasty! Yeah. The guys from Duck Dynasty are here, which can only mean one thing: the guys from Storage Wars said no. No, I love Duck Dynasty, don't get me wrong, but guys, I really don't think your Streisand whistle's gonna... Oh my God, it worked! She's here! It's incredible. I always hated that one. Hey, now as some of you know, this is my second time speaking at this event. I was last here 18 years ago, back in 1995. A lot's changed since then. Today you can get real-time information on world events from something small enough to fit in the palm of your hand. Back in 95, we called that George Stephanopoulos. I can't see if George is here because there's a crouton in the way. It's amazing to think how much our country has changed in 18 years. Think about it. If in 1995 you told me that in 2013 we'd have an African-American president with a middle named Hussein who was just reelected to a second term in a sluggish economy, I would have said, oh, he must have run against Mitt Romney. By the way, no offense, Mr. President, I do congratulate you on your victory, but as a late-night comedian, I was kind of pulling for the rich guy whose horse danced in the Olympics. The demographics of this country have been rapidly changing over the past 2 decades, and I look forward to hosting this event 18 years from now. Then my opening line will be, Buenas noches, es un honor poder hablar en esta escena de los corresponsales de la Casa Blanca. Sí, especialmente al presidente Mario López. But my prior experience has taught me how these dinners work. If the president laughs, everyone laughs. And if the Fox News table laughs, a little girl just fell off her bike. How you doing, Bill? Yes, all the Washington news media here tonight, including the stars of online journalism. I see the Huffington Post has a table, yeah. Which has me wondering, if you're here, who's covering Miley Cyrus's latest nip slip? Who's assembling today's top 25 yogurt-related tweets? 7 mistakes you're making with bacon. That's a real one, and you should be ashamed of yourselves. By the way, just before dinner, I tried to say a quick hello to Ariana Huffington, but she made me watch a 30-second ad first. Yes, a lot of online stars are in the room, but unfortunately, Matt Drudge couldn't make it. Yeah, he had a prior commitment to teach a web design class in 1997. Of course, the Washington print media is also joining us this evening. The print media are here for 2 very good reasons: food and shelter. You know, how are you? You know, some people say print media is dying, but I don't believe it. And neither does my blacksmith. You gotta meet Zachariah, he's great. Man, rough year for Newsweek, which after 80 years published its last print issue. Yeah. Time magazine might be gloating, but they really shouldn't, because Time will outlive Newsweek the way Juliet outlived Romeo. Read the play, it's very smart. Things are so tough for old media that, this is a true story, Reuters is having its after party right here at the Hilton. Because nothing says we're having a great year like having your after party at the same table where you just had dinner. With that in mind, Reuters is asking everyone here to leave a little wine at the bottom of their glass. And to be fair, print media still has a big star in Bob Woodward, okay? Gotta give it up for Bob Woodward, yeah? Yeah? Yeah, earlier this evening, a waiter asked Mr. Woodward if he wanted regular or decaf, and he said, "Stop threatening me." Also tonight, some of the big names in television news. When it comes to television news, we have a divided media landscape. Okay, Fox News is watched by conservatives, MSC is watched by liberals, and CNN is watched by the people who clean the offices at CNN. Oh, it gets worse. CNN's ratings are so low, now when the logo comes up, James Earl Jones says, "You're watching CNN? What the hell?" I have to say, in the past few years, CNN has made some very odd moves. For example, they replaced the popular Larry King with one of the scheming footmen from Downton Abbey. Pierce slides right into that show. "Oh, Lord Grantham. Oh, you'll get yours, Lord Grantham." Hey, it's good to see my old friends at MSNBC. MSNBC's Chris Matthews is here. Chris Matthews has the only show where the commercial exists just so they can wipe the spittle off the lens. By the way, during the Boston coverage on MSNBC last week, Chuck Todd stopped a pundit from speculating on unverified information. Now, there's no joke here. I'm just letting the people at CNN know that you can do that. This is a learning experience. Hello to Fox News star Bill O'Reilly. Bill's become quite the author. He's had 2 recent bestsellers, Killing Kennedy and Killing Lincoln. He also wrote a book that was not nearly as popular, The Natural Peaceful Death of Taft. What were you thinking? The truth is, Bill O'Reilly, and this is true, is now working on his next book due out this fall. This time, it's about the killing of Jesus. It'll be the first time in history Jesus' death is blamed on Obamacare. 2 quick shout-outs to PBS and NPR. Now, PBS, yes, PBS. Those PBS people love to party. Guys, if you get lucky tonight, be safe, wear a tote bag. It works. You gotta love NPR. NPR is still the #1 source for news delivered as if there's a toddler sleeping in the next room. Shh, watch me sing, shh. NBC News is in the house. Good Lord, they've had a rough go of it, huh? The Today Show let go of Ann Curry. After being told, Ann Curry said, "Let me get this straight. Al Roker tells the world that he crapped his pants at the White House, and I'm getting fired? Al's the reason there are no more tours at the White House. They're still hosing it down." Brian Williams is here. Brian, I'm a big fan of your show, Rock Center with Brian Williams. If you haven't seen it, imagine, this is great, imagine Brian delivering the evening news on a different floor of the building, a little later, with a slightly different tie. It's a mind blower. You gotta check it out. But as I look around the room and see all the media here tonight, I realize this is all just one big high school cafeteria. That's all it is. Think about it. Fox is the jocks, MSNBC is the nerds, bloggers are the goths, NPR is the table for kids with peanut allergies. Al Jazeera is the weird foreign exchange student nobody talks to. And print media, I didn't forget you. You're the poor kid who died sophomore year in a car crash. Yeah. Cheer up, we dedicate the yearbook to you. Of course, probably the biggest story that people in this room covered this past year was the Republican failure to recapture the White House. Hard to believe the Republicans didn't fare better in the election with the support of celebrities like Ted Nugent and Meatloaf. I guess they overestimated the number of voters who still drive carpeted vans. But the Republican Party is on the mend. One rising star on the right is Senator Marco Rubio, or as he's known in the Republican Party, our black guy. Yeah. By the way, as of today, the U.S. Senate has a record number of African-American senators, two. In other words, there are now more African-Americans in the Senate than at a Mumford & Sons concert. Thank you, younger people. Paul Ryan. Well, you don't understand. What's she babbling about? Who's this man? Paul Ryan recently, he really burst through last year when he ran for vice president. After the election, Ryan said President Obama was reelected because of the high turnout of urban voters. Then when he was asked just how he liked his coffee, Ryan said, no milk, no sugar, just urban. Well, there's RNC Chairman Reince Priebus. You heard me correctly. His name is Reince Priebus. Tonight, he's sitting right in between his brothers, Lather Priebus and Repeat Priebus. House Majority Leader Eric Cantor is here, or as I like to refer to him, yet another Jewish Republican from the South. Get sold. That reminds me, also joining us is a congressman from New York named Steve Israel. That's right, he's from New York, and his name is Israel. Now there's pandering, and then there's pandering. That's like having a congressman from South Carolina named Jesus H. Gunn. The name's Gunn. Jesus H. Gunn, I tell you. You gotta use this thing, it's fantastic. You didn't use it once. I mentioned Republican Governor Chris Christie earlier. Governor Christie and Shaquille O'Neal are sitting at the same dinner table. So let's give it up for the real unsung hero tonight, their waiter. That poor bastard. He's gonna lose an arm. I believe we have one or two Supreme Court justices here. The Supreme Court seems divided over same-sex marriage. The liberal justices favor it, while the conservatives oppose any lifelong sacred union between two men, unless, of course, it's Antonin Scalia and Clarence Thomas. The hell was that? It's no surprise that Speaker John Boehner isn't here tonight. Speaker Boehner and President Obama are still struggling to get along. President Obama and John Boehner are kind of like a blind date between Anderson Cooper and Rachel Maddow. In theory, they understand each other's positions, but deep down, you know nothing's ever gonna happen. Speaking of nothing happening, we're all hoping, of course, that nothing happens with North Korea. And that got me wondering, what is with Kim Jong-un? Now, in the past, we've had really scary enemies like Saddam Hussein and Hitler. Now suddenly our nemesis is a pouty teenage boy who dresses like Rosie O'Donnell at the Emmys. Kim Jong-un doesn't understand that we aren't afraid of him. What that guy doesn't get is that we already have an unstable peninsula that will ultimately bring down America. It's called Florida. Yes, it is. Yes, President Obama has a lot on his plate right now, but he's now at that very nice stage where there are no more secrets left to come out about him. We all know that as a child, he lived in Indonesia, he studied at a Muslim seminary, and occasionally ate dog. So clearly from the beginning, he was a kid who had his eyes set on the US presidency. Check, check, and check. Here I come. Now, I know the relationship between the president and the press can seem a bit strained at times. Some in this room have even accused the president of being distant and aloof. When I asked the president about it earlier, he said, "Oh," and then walked away. Of course, it's only natural, but Mr. President, your re-election was a little less exciting than the first time around in 2008. On election night in 2008, you celebrated with hundreds of thousands of people in Chicago's Grant Park. It was fascinating. This time around, you split a char dog with David Axelrod at the Wiener Circle. It just didn't have the same buzz. And by the way, I have a question, and I think some of you also have this question. It's been several months since you were re-elected, sir. So I'm curious, why are you still sending everyone 5 emails a day asking for more money? You won! Do you have a gambling problem we don't know about? Did you put it all on Gonzaga? You did, didn't you? He did! President Obama has already made a lot of changes in his second term. Sir, you recently appointed John Kerry and Chuck Hagel. Very smart move. You appointed the only 2 people in the United States who look even more tired than you. It's a great strategy. Mr. President, you're going to leave office as a very young man, and yet the presidency has taken its toll. I don't want to alarm you, sir, but you're starting to look like a judge on Law and Order. Just say you're on thin ice, counselor. You could have that part right away. Seriously, Mr. President, your hair is so white, it could be a member of your cabinet. He can handle it. Speaking of the cabinet, the president recently picked his new Treasury Secretary, Jack Lew. It gives me great joy to know that if the president ever has to let him go, he'll get to say, "It's not Lew, it's me." But the quote I hear the most about the president is that he's always the coolest guy in the room. That's what everyone says. He's the coolest guy in the room. All right, but here's my question. Who else is in that room? It's not hard to be the cool one when the other guys in the room are Biden, Hagel, and Kerry. I'd be cool, too, if I was stuck in a room where Tom Vilsack is showing Stephen Chu how to do the Harlem Shake. Now, I've made some jokes about the president this evening, and I'm looking forward to my audit. It's coming. I know, sir. It's coming. But I would like to take a moment here and change gears and say something to the president regarding the events of the past 2 weeks. Some of you may not know this. I grew up in Boston. My parents still live there. And my brother Luke raised his family in Watertown. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you, Mr. President, for visiting that great city and helping its people begin to heal with your inspiring new words. It made a huge difference. It's been said recently that you don't mess with Boston. As someone who grew up there, I'd like to echo that sentiment. It's really pretty simple. If you're going to pick on a city, don't choose one where 9 out of 10 people are related to a cop. Don't do it. It's stupid. And that includes myself. I have one more thing to mention before I go. Everyone's obsessed with Washington these days. You all saw how you went crazy for House of Cards, Homeland, and of course this event tonight. Hollywood can't get enough of your world. Well, tonight I'm excited to announce that Turner Broadcasting is going to make a major television miniseries about the big power players here in Washington. They just finished the casting, and I would like to announce who is going to play who. This is big. Vice President Joe Biden is going to be played by Bob Barker. Former White House advisor David Axelrod will be played by Higgins from Magnum P.I. This was also produced by Steven Spielberg, by the way. Representative Paul Ryan will be played by Mr. Bean. Senator Chuck Schumer will be played by Grandpa Munster. Senator Harry Reid will be played by the old man from the American Gothic painting. Fox News CEO Roger Ailes will be played by Boss Hogg. We signed the deal. Speaker of the House John Boehner will be played by Tan Mom. Secretary of Homeland Security Janet Napolitano will be played by Paul Giamatti. Former White House Chief of Staff and Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel will be played by Stewie from Family Guy. Secretary of State John Kerry will be played by an Easter Island head. I cannot tell those two apart. Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts will be played by Buzz Lightyear. Senator Mitch McConnell will be played by Dame Edna. CNN anchor Wolf Blitzer will be played by a Furby. NRA Executive Vice President Wayne LaPierre will be played by the face melt guy from Raiders of the Lost Ark. And finally, White House Press Secretary Jay Carney will be played by Ralphie from A Christmas Story. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a huge honor. Thank you very much.